What is even up? It's your boy Cradman here with my boy Heckenstein, who is somewhere else today. Welcome to the Hypnotic Hootout. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing great. Lots of home cooked food from my mom, so
Nice.
that's going fine.
Yeah.
How about you? How's Leipzig?
Leipzig. Well, apparently things are getting more hectic corona-wise here. Because of course we
Here as well, yeah.
All those very concerned citizens who really feel like they're... Oh, what did I hear recently? They compared themselves to Rosa Parks and Anne Frank for protesting wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Because obviously not killing other people is very much the same.
No, I think she meant she's 32 like Rosa Parks. No, Sophie Scholl. That was Sophie Scholl, right? She's 32 like when Sophie Scholl was killed. So that's true. That much is true. It's the same age.
Yeah. Geez, people want to be oppressed so badly.
Oh yeah, I saw an interesting article about that. There has been like new research about people feeling like they are the victim.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it, of course, because it's long and it's. But I want to. I will probably. We'll get maybe back to you next time about people trying to be the oppressed. Interestingly, yeah, those people are most likely to
oppress.
Postulate that you are, in fact, oppressing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that thing, and then I somehow I know how it happened. I guess I have terrible. My stomach is very upset with me. I baked some cake recently, right? And like, I don't even think there's an English word for it. It's called Zupfkuchen. Russian Zupfkuchen. Not sure if that's actually Russian or just East German
Russian
thing.
pieces cake.
And yeah, I was already, I already had that, my stomach was cramping and stuff after I ate a couple pieces of that. And then I was like, okay, who knows what's going on? I'm not exactly eating healthy, or maybe just the raw crumble batter that I ate, because why wouldn't you?
Is it with eggs?
Yes. But the thing is, okay, so that was then, right? And of course, since it's a whole tray, I froze most of it. And yesterday I unfroze myself a piece, and today again the cramps. And so it must be the eggs. I mean, they didn't smell bad when I put them in. It was weird, actually, because I had older and I had fresher bought eggs. So 2 old ones left, and the new ones, I have never had that before, that when I crack an egg, you have to separate the egg whites, right? And I almost couldn't do it because it was so thick. And I was like, that's weird. But then I Googled it, and apparently they're supposed to be thick, and they get more liquid as they age. So what we usually get is basically old eggs, because then it's liquid, right? So that's what I read.
I don't think we can get old eggs, right? They can't be older than a couple of days.
Hopefully. But I've never had them thick before, but then I read that means they're really fresh. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, somehow I'm again
get some thick eggs next time.
And yeah, now I've been woken up this morning by stomach cramps, and I still have them.
Oh man!
So I have some tea, and I'm actually gonna order myself some soup now. The delivery thing was closed until now, so I haven't eaten all day, but also not exactly.
What kind of tea do you have?
It's peppermint, the only tea I have.
Oh, okay. Well, peppermint isn't really good for the stomach either, but I guess it's hot. It's not sugary.
No, but I read
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's not chamomile, but it's also.
Yeah,
I
I was
heard
hoping
this also.
you would said that because I wanted to. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Chamomile? Chamomile? It's weird.
Mm-hmm. What, you wanted to lecture me about chamomile?
No, I just wanted to hear how it's pronounced from you.
Oh, I see.
But then you had peppermint, and I'm pretty sure peppermint isn't the greatest for your stomach. That's more like thingy. Also, it's what was that? I think it makes you cold. Something like if you go really esoteric, then yeah, peppermint it cools you out because of its properties. So the real esoteric people they don't drink peppermint anymore. Just hot water for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting hot more than anything because it's hot tea.
Yeah, that's what I figure.
So who knows? But yes, yeah. So I also felt in no condition to run out and cook myself some chicken stew. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. So
But it's also against the cold. It's not for your stomach.
Yeah, but it's non-aggressive and it feels nice. I mean, it doesn't work anyway. Like there's this urban legend that chicken stew is kind of like nature's antibiotics. But as far as I read from research, it's just the comfy feeling of having something nice and warm, and you know it from your childhood, so it feels homey.
Interesting, because I read that it actually has some in it, but only if you really have a chicken in there with the bones.
Well, that's how I do it usually. And now I've believed this for years, but then I looked it up. It says there's no conclusive research. It's probably just placebo.
Big pharma suppressing the truth about chickens.
Yeah, so.
Although we have big chicken, by the way, I think they should combat that.
I don't know. That would be big farm against big pharma.
Big farm versus big pharma, but they're interlocked anyway because of the pharmaceuticals the chickens get, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe that's why chickens are good against the cold, because of all the stuff they put in there.
It's nature's antibiotics because they eat antibiotics.
Yeah.
Oh my. So yeah. Okay, so gonna do that. And yeah, otherwise I'm just. Yeah, I feel really dead this week and last week too. Like,
Is it because I'm gone?
Yeah, of course. Yes, you're not here. This is actually very reminiscent of our very, very first ever stream.
Yeah.
And this is also why today you sound a little more. What is the word? I would say blechern in German. Tinny.
Tinny, yeah. Yeah, it's with the laptop mic. I was too lazy to carry the normal mic, although that's not big. I just figured that the laptop mic is probably good enough. But I was schooled before the Hootout, so I'll see if I can do anything to improve that until next week. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really reminiscent. I mean, just today, they decided to increase the lockdown here in Baden-Württemberg. So we have, what's it in English? Can't go out anymore. Curfew 20. So 8 p.m. till 5 a.m.
Oh, you have like an actual curfew.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, if you work or have anything else important to do, then it's fine. But you can't just go out drinking outside or just walk outside.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this makes sense. I mean, it certainly prevents a lot of the stuff that would be problematic. So yeah, I guess in that sense, it might work. I guess the easier the restriction, the easier it is to make sure that it's held up. Maybe that's the reason. But really, it's really a bummer for me because I came down here to my hometown and now I can't meet anyone. Well,
bummer.
Mm-hmm. And about me leaving and you getting sick, I left my flatmates, and I think the day after or the day I left, the internet broke down. Now they don't have any internet anymore.
Oh,
It's been down for 2 days now. Yeah.
Good call on going home.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I do feel a little bit bad for them.
But yes, my internet has also been exceptionally terrible yesterday, especially. Barely worked.
Apparently they're working on the cables again or something.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's something like that because it was like consistent. I could barely watch anything online and websites not loading, and that's a bit.
Well, it's fine here.
Well, good for you.
Oh God, I have to make sure that I'm not. What's it called? I'm cursing my luck. Anyway.
Right.
Spoiling my luck.
Yeah, so yeah. Wait, what were we? Oh, right. So yes, the week, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I guess for me the post-release depression is just like I'm not sad this time. It's a post-release. Just what would you call that? I don't feel especially exhausted, but I do nothing and still am tired, kind of a thing. And I was sort of like trying now to catch up on months of lack of sleep. And
so post-release exhaustion?
I guess. I feel like it has to be more than that depletion, maybe.
Depletion, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I just lie in bed all day. I watch some TV. I play around with some programming for fun, which works. If I don't have to do anything, then I'm okay doing it.
Yeah, I hope I'm not going too far here, but I realize when you're lying in bed all the time is when Discord shows that you're on your mobile. This is always the sign for me that you're still in bed.
Right, yes, exactly. So
Yeah,
I do a whole lot of nothing.
The post release is really weird this time. I got that too. I neither have like this like I'm not feeling down. I'm not disappointed. I'm certainly like exhausted and depleted. But I'm also not stressed about like new bugs that I have to fix. And I mean, I had this idea of like updating every day, and I think it's been like a week.
Sounds ambitious.
That I haven't updated. I'm not feeling bad at all. It's just like, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's what it is. That's good. I wish I could feel a little bit more like happy about that, like about the release. That would be great, but I'm not gonna. I'm happy with how it is.
Yeah, I guess early access is a bit of like the up and downs of early access. On the one hand, it's all kind of stress free since it doesn't have to be perfect, and that's very much part of it that the development continues. But at the same time, you don't really feel maybe like something was released because it's not done.
That's true. But yeah, that's very true. I also like it a lot that when people like complain about bugs or stuff that's missing, that we can just say it's early access. I think that the last person, I'm sure I'm not going to look it up in Discord, but it was happy to be part of the development instead of like angry that we haven't implemented it yet. And I was like, That's actually pretty nice. Maybe let's do it every time. Early access all the way.
But I guess that was also our number one fan, so maybe they're particularly chill about it.
Well, extreme fans are most of the time the people who make the problems, right?
Yes, right. I mean, he has been bugging us for literal years to make more Wizard, and then he has to find out that there will be more Wizard once early access is done, and he's still chill about it, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to have him.
Yes. Yeah, our Discord is nice. I like it. Yeah. Hey, Win is here.
Yes. Hey. Nice to see you.
Okay, food is on its way. That's good.
Okay. I have a little bit more drama to share with you all. So.
Just a second. When is he saying, is it just me or does Jan lag a bit behind the sound? I don't know. I mean, Jan is on his laptop right now, so it may sound. Oh yes, you do lag.
I do feel like I'm lagging a little bit.
Oh, you're actually quite a lot now that I'm paying attention.
I could walk over to my brother and see if he's doing something. I think he's just playing Hades, but
now it's okay again. I guess it's just unsteady a bit, but I'm sure we'll be okay.
Hopefully. We'll look into it next time a little more, because this time, as always, we didn't have really a lot of time to prepare. I was just showering, then eating some bread.
Yeah. I was actually literally texting you from the shower when I was asking about the topic for today.
Yeah, but it's quite nice. I like thinking about stuff in the shower, so that was good input.
Right. So what was the drama?
Okay, so let's begin with the bad one, the worst one. So I think most people in our Discord already know, but my hard disk failed on me, and I tried to fix it. I run check disk on it, but I think check disk only made it worse. So yeah, all the stuff that I haven't backed up in a while is gone, and unfortunately, I didn't back up last year. I skipped the 1 year. I usually do it like every year, and my hard disk died literally the day before I make my backups. It's like really the worst case scenario for me. Skipping it 1 year and then 1 day before the new backup, everything dies. So I wanted to take the time and tell everyone, back up your data. Luckily, I haven't lost, I think, too much good stuff, because the really important stuff is on the cloud, and like pictures, I didn't take too many pictures. Like all pictures from South Africa are gone, but I think like my ex-girlfriend has them. You have part of it. Yeah. The thing that really hurt is my Diablo 1 character, level 26, and now I have until next Monday to level a character up to continue playing with my friends. That's annoying. That's really annoying. So that's drama number one, and then number two was the train. Luckily, I had a couple of special cookies left, and I took one when I noticed that that's going to be late. It was like we started from Leipzig to Erfurt, and then I heard like two of the personnel there talk to each other, and the one was like something about being late, and the other was like no, we're not going to be late because there's not much going on, so there's nothing that can go wrong. And then literally like 10 minutes later, we stopped at Erfurt and we waited there for over an hour because there was a signal failure. And then when that was fixed, we continued for about 15 minutes until we stopped again because there was, a Weiche. Eine Weiche?
Right. A switch. A railway switch.
Yeah, thanks for the F, Venezuela. Yeah. Then we had to wait there for over an hour again.
Fun.
Thus, like I think 8 hours went into 10, and then I think I didn't like take the best alternate route, but it took the one I wouldn't have to change that often, and which took like 2 hours longer, I think. So I was like 12 hours traveling, which was a bit exhausting, but it was okay. Having the special cookie in me that made me relax for most of the, and I think I've so often been in the train stuck in Germany, like Deutsche Bahn. I'm just used to it. I never take the train thinking I will be there on time, so it takes a lot of the anger out of it, the equation.
Yeah, it's just part of travel now.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, that's the drama. I think it's not that dramatic, I guess.
I see. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to like. I haven't really kept up with what the restrictions are now here, but probably also there. I heard something about a hard lockdown, and I gotta get to Berlin somehow next week, so I'll to pick up my wife. And yeah, we'll see how
Probably
that
they don't watch Borat or don't like Borat at all, but he's still adopted. I think that's the great thing about Borat is probably my wife.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did watch have you watched the Lindsay Ellis thing?
Yeah, I watched that, of course.
So I find that the clip she shows, I find them very funny, but I could never watch that.
Yeah, I appreciate that I don't have to watch the whole movie. I can just see like the interesting clips.
Yeah, I get too uncomfortable by this. It's I can't deal with cringe humor. I don't know. So
well, it's not completely true, right? It's just a certain kind of cringe humor. Because what was that the comedy movie we watched last time?
American Pie?
No, it wasn't American Pie, but yeah, the humor like that's cringe humor too, right?
I mean, that's a bit gross out humor, I think. But also in such a juvenile way that I can kind of deal with that. But I mean, Borat, that's real people. He's being really uncomfortable to real people. And of course it has a point, and I find the results funny, but I can't with the awkward energy of it. So I have never been able to watch his stuff, not Ali G, nothing. So it's I just no.
I quite enjoyed Ali G back in the day, but this was another time. But just liked him. Just thought it was funny. I even watched the movie like a couple of times. I think like my Abi motto was Abi G. So yeah, it was another time.
Indeed. And this says, I remember some years ago, I was still in school. One of my drives was going off in smoke. I lost around 40 gigabytes of data, most of it self-created stuff, and save files.
That hurts.
It was really heartbreaking. Luckily, that only has happened to me like sort of once. That was I had made a backup of my laptop with like some specialized software that like takes an exact copy of the drive, so you can just apply it again without having to install and you have the old thing again. And I had one of my working files from a song I was making on there. And in trying to, and then I realized, oh, okay, I still have that somewhere in there. So I was trying to, put it back onto my laptop to get it out. And in formatting the laptop, I accidentally, because I had it connected already, I accidentally formatted my whole external hard drive.
Oh.
So that sucked a bit. But yeah, no, since I keep like triple, quadruple cloud and non-cloud backups of all my like film footage and whatever things that I can't just get back. I keep them everywhere just to be safe.
That's good. I've lost another hard disk, just one, but there was like all my music, and it was like stuff on there I collected that you can't really find anymore, or I can't find anymore. And I was so bummed out. Like for a week, I was really, really down, really, really hurt, and I had no interest in finding all that stuff again and building my library again. I was just like devastated. I thought like my life has ended. And it was the teenage times, so a lot of my self-worth obviously was in my music collection, and that just died on me. I don't think I learned out of it, but yeah, I've got most of it now. And today, this isn't a huge problem anymore. Like with Dropbox and Google Drive, there's all my documents obviously encrypted. So that would be like the next failure position place. There's like another specific work I don't remember, but yeah. Yeah, if I can't decrypt my stuff, that would be horrible. But yeah, no, listen to music on Spotify. Movies are mostly Netflix, so it's not that painful to lose a hard disk anymore. And luckily, I had like a backup from 2 years ago, which I could just, it was a hard disk, so I could just plug it in, and it's like Dropbox just started syncing again because all the folders are the same way as in the other one.
Nice.
Then, yeah, my brother had like a little new hard disk for me. I got now it's also 2 terabytes. It was like a
Nice.
what's it? An external. It was an external, but the thingy around it malfunctioned. So he opened it up, got his data off, and doesn't have space in his rack to use it. So free hard disk. Yeah,
Nice.
it's usually what I do now. Back in the day, my brother got all the hand-me-downs, like hardware-wise. Now it's the other way around because he makes significantly more money than me.
So like, or any.
Yeah, he makes money. Also, like living by my parents, he doesn't have much. Like the most money he uses is for hardware and magic cards.
That's the life.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, money. Also gotta figure that out now, because apparently, oh no, I did tell you this already, that I can't actually get unemployment based on the money that I've gotten for the past 8 months. So I'm getting this on the non-salary that I got over a year ago. And get to apply for the welfare thing as well. Fun.
Yeah, I gotta do that as well.
Yeah. Well, as long as we do it, as long as we submit it this month, that's fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not really interested in doing all the paperwork. I would rather like pay the money, and I've done so in the past. But yeah, it's silly not to do it. By the way, silly is a big, it's a nice substitute for stupid. Trying to make the switch.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully, silly wasn't like an old-timey way of saying you had other mental problems.
Well, I guess we iterate until we learn new things, and then we do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we use this as a segue to talking a little bit about the wizard and the story and such? So
we could have used it as a segue, but
well, it was the segue into asking if you're done with what you want to talk about, as not to interrupt.
Let me check my list. Well, there are two other things, but we can talk about them anytime.
Right. So in our Discord, it's just people from the Discord. I'm gonna post a link anyway. Our Discord, which you can join, of course. Well, yeah. So everybody watching it already has, but we were talking about. Sorry, quickly distracted.
Quickly finding out what we were talking about.
What were we talking about? See, that's when I lose my train of thought. I just talk until I find it again, and sometimes that becomes very noticeable when I do that. So, and when I notice that it's noticeable, I try to stop myself and talk about it so that I have more time to think about what I was going to say. So
Go on.
That's my ADHD coping strategies. So, yes, we were talking about the wizard, and someone was asking, which was actually a funny idea, about having a character creator at the beginning where you can create the perfect face, and then, of course, it gets immediately stolen. I guess I should also point out that we're now going to talk about spoilery stuff. So if anyone listening to this does not want to hear the end of the story, I guess...
Can we go around that?
I want to very specifically talk about the ending, so that's kind of difficult without naming it. But I mean, who's listening to this who hasn't actually seen it before? And I just mention it. Maybe I'll put a timestamp in the description later if someone wants to skip ahead or something.
I mean, we can just say, watch out, spoiler now, and then...
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly.
Gesture when they can turn the sound on again.
Right. So, but I mean, the first part is still fine. So, character creator, that you design your face, and then of course it gets immediately stolen. That I think is sort of a funny idea. It is a funny idea. But in talking about that, we were talking about character customization. Can we, as we want to, since we want to do a lot of customization and stuff, can we also do character customization that people can pick their own, create their own characters, decide what gender they want to play, what name they want to give. And well, I mentioned this in the chat that I feel that this particular story is that it really needs to be the cishet white male default. Yeah. Because I feel like we've talked about this before, of course. Is there something that we can do that make it more interesting to get away from doing the same standard representation, I guess, or lack thereof. And yeah, I mean, with the story, now we come to the spoilery bits, right? With the story in the end kind of being about Kevin being... I mean, he's getting chastised for being shallow and lazy because he's just scooting through on his looks and stuff. So I personally feel like it has some very strange connotations if you don't apply this kind of narrative to a blank slate, basically.
That doesn't work at all.
Oh, you're backwards. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that so of course, the straight white male is that being the default is kind of a problem, but it also means that
it's a problem like in general, right?
In media, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
That is the default, and everything else is sort of special and an anomaly and stuff. Which I guess is why we're thinking about how can we contribute to breaking that up a bit. But it being the default also kind of means that it's sort of without any additional weight.
Of course, my flatmates call me now. They should know I'm now not available.
You should know better. What was that? That was.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That was Jan.
Continue. I'm just gonna scold
That was
them.
Jan getting a call with his cool Super Mario ringtone. So it being the default also kind of means it's a little bit of a blank slate in terms of strange implications or connotations. So I feel like you can tell this type of story, which is, I mean, I've been thinking about that. How do I actually feel about it now? Because I feel like the story is a little bit judgy. I don't know, the speech in the end by the professor. I mean, it's not the professor, but in terms of how it reads, it's the professor lecturing Kevin because he's not interested in school and just interested in his looks. And I don't know. These days, I'm kind of, even though it is sort of tongue-in-cheek, I'm kind of wondering, is that maybe a little bit judgy? And why should you pay attention in school instead of being happy about how awesome you look? That all feels valid. But I hope it's still tongue-in-cheek enough that it doesn't come across as being mean about it, I guess. Trying to be judgy. But yeah, that thing I feel like works only to make a silly story about that, basically. To me, would just get weird connotations especially if it was a female character, because that then suddenly sounds horribly sexist to imply that. Because of that, because it is not the default, and because there's so little representation, then it suddenly feels like it's becoming a message about every woman or every non-default representation that says that people who are women are all vain, and people who don't look like we do are lazy or something like that. It comes sort of with a different weight to it.
Yeah, but I guess it's also a problem for us as white dudes to really have good representation in your default character, because of course we are not really aware of all the stuff that goes on in that, so it's much easier. And I always feel like you can have the cishet white dude default, as long as you're not pretending that he's living in a world where everyone's like him, right?
Yes.
But of course, we have such a specific. Sorry, when to say you're distracting me. It's such a specific story that there's really room to show the world, and so this is certainly something we can add on to with the coming updates.
Yes, I'll get to that in a second. Because there is a whole thing. I mean, we've talked about it already, but I thought would be nice to chat about it on the stream. What is that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
The fuck? Okay, neighbors. What? Are you still there? Where have you gone?
I'm here.
Well, not visually. What happened?
Wait, Discord did something.
Discord.
Wait, let me... Playing multiple games? What the...
What?
Sharing this stream. Am I not? What's... Yo.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah. So did you have any problems, or was it just my side now?
Well, I have no idea. Maybe it was you. Maybe that's the... or maybe at least it might be that the thing just... that the delays became so big that I just decided to drop it.
But it was also my Discord, obviously.
Discord is weird. I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to talk to my parents about the time I'm streaming. I shouldn't restart the router or whatever.
Right. So, yes, Kevin. Well, what I do think what we're doing is, at least within that default, telling... Well, I don't want to claim like this that it's that deep or anything, but I mean we have at least some non-traditional masculinity, one could say. It's certainly not the Call of Duty tough guy character, so so we have that, and yeah, I feel like this specific thing is just. I'm not obviously against like telling stories from the same thing that everybody's telling stories about. I just generally like to be I like to make those decisions consciously, because it was kind of a bit of a shock when we were first working on Till Last Light, and then our graphics person was saying, hey, how about we also do some female characters and maybe some who aren't white? And it was like, holy shit, I was just, without thinking about it, trying to write a story that is exactly like every other story. White people in a Caribbean setting and a damsel in distress and all the stuff that I just know from other things and like perpetuating that without thinking about it. So yeah, I just like to like think these things through and make that call for why the character is no different for a reason rather than just because that's what I'm used to, kind of thing. But also, as I've now only recently realized, or was made aware of, is that there's actually a bit of a problem with the end. And so I guess now we are like getting really into spoilers. Because so we have, after you've ran after the thief and you realized, oh, it's your nemesis Steve, another student who stole your face, and you catch up with him, and then it turns out, oh god, it's not Steve, it's actually your teacher, and he devised this plan to get you to learn because you can't pay attention in class and you never want to do your homework, and so he took the thing that was most important to you, your face, and that's when you started to learn some magic along the way. And then it turns out, actually, it's not your teacher. It's a little demon who stole your face because he wanted to feel normal and not be judged, because people think that demons are evil. And so obviously it's a story about prejudice and stuff. And you have that moment where then Professor Squabblebeard, steps in and confirms, yes, it's true. There's a lot of prejudice in the world. We need to question these things and all that stuff, and ends on the note of, oh, so did I kill innocent creatures along the way? And he laughs to himself and says, no, you were hunting yourself through the training classes for older students. Those weren't real. That's kind of how we did the lampshade hanging for the violence. and then they all go home happy. And so I feel like I find this really interesting to look at it now, like pretty much 7 years later, right? Where I've obviously learned a lot and still am at it. This obviously only just occurred to me because I was reading about something else about fantasy, or like racism in fantasy settings, and the problem with like the dark elves and goblins and orcs and stuff. How that the concept of evil races is obviously rooted in racism. And
although it wouldn't even have to be like that if there were like all the other like types of humans present in the world, but somehow it's always just the white people and then the fantasy races that kind of also adopt like the cultural stuff there. And I recently heard about like World of Warcraft, which had a new add-on. And in the new add-on, I have played it. It's just like I've heard, I think Creator Crowbar talked about it in the last or second to last podcast, that you are now playing the trolls. And the trolls, they all have a Jamaican dialect. Yes. And considering this is like the newest addition to the game, and they already had problems with the orcs, with the dark elves, with some of the elves. I'm not really sure, but they now decided to go for the trolls, and then they tried to more, as I understood it. Again, I haven't played it. More or less adopt the story of Black Panther in the troll world setting thingy, where there's like different kind of like trolls fighting for their I think there's like a tribe of trolls that should join the horde, and they have to, but they are like, I don't know. It's just I can't go into details, so I won't. So it's weird how this works out. That like for, of course, probably mostly white game developers, like there are humans and then there are like orcs, and that's somehow a fantasy that gets reproduced over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, in addition to other humans being represented, the idea of evil races. I mean, that's also what D&D and stuff is changing now, that the concept of inherently evil races is being removed. And
but I think I'm not sure about D&D, but for me, when I saw that, that's also like what World of Warcraft did, from changing from that the orcs are an evil race to the orcs are the noble savages that aren't understood, which I guess is better, but still not good. All right, they also have taurens, like minotaurans, and they are coded as and they're coded as Native Americans, but overtly so. So everything the Native Americans have, they have as well.
So fantasy is a hugely troubled genre, and of course we also kind of have that same problem, and that's something I find kind of interesting looking back over over the story, because obviously there is a bit of a glaring issue right there. That well, for one, there's sort of the white-splaining aspect of Professor Squabblebeard stepping in to explain and confirm the oppression that the actual person it's happening to is telling him about. I mean, like, he has to step in and be like, yes, it's true, and then start with all the, technical explanation and whatever. And then finally...
But does it have to be... Is this a bad thing in the story, or is it a bad thing, like, for him to do? Like, couldn't the story still be, like, partial about it?
That's sort of what I'm thinking about now, that I kind of would like to have a second part. I don't know what that would look like exactly, but to address that, because I don't think the story itself is a problem. I think the problem is that I didn't know that I was doing that. That's what I kind of mean when I think it's kind of interesting to look back at what I thought was like was good, responsible storytelling, or whatever you want to call it, 7 years ago, and how very much it reflects sort of where I was at in terms of wokeness, if you will, to have sort of that those blind spots, and to kind of not be aware of how these things read, and of course
just like reproducing the stuff you already consumed that was already problematic without second thought.
Well,
I feel like that's often the problem, and that's also the reason why, like, so many movies not only feel like you've already seen the movie and you know what's going to happen, but has like the same stuff over and over again. And I feel like, especially with the medieval stuff, to an extent, or medieval, and of course like the cowboy Indian dynamic in America, that people now believe that this is historically correct, what they've seen in the movies over and over and over again. Of course, in fantasy, that's not that big of a problem, but still, I think interesting to look at how this like shapes the understanding of your worldview.
I mean, it is partially that, but it's partially also performance on my part. That basically, I mean, obviously the Squabblebeard character is pretty much me, right? So I stand there and I lecture the player on prejudice. So, like, I mean, I don't really remember how I put the story together. I mean, obviously it started with the sprite of a wizard without a face, and
I still remember I showed you, like, this is the game. The main character doesn't have a face. Can you make a story around that? And I was hoping for like a dark story about a serious wizard, and you went the other way.
So obviously it started there, and I'm not sure how the rest of it happened. I remember that the things, like, thematically, what was important to me was, first and foremost, what I have really like stuck in my head, that was something I wanted to do, was that last line with did any of it actually make any sense? And the person saying that doesn't matter, all that matters is what you took away from it. That was something I was thinking about a lot at the time, that, in storytelling, we have today this kind of thing where we look for plot holes and small inconsistencies, the cinema sins of the world, kind of. And I feel like all these things, they don't really matter. And it doesn't really matter if you... if everything was perfect, if it was phrased perfectly, if the ideas were expressed perfectly, but it only matters, like, the meaning you take out of it, right? So that was part of it. And of course, I don't know how I came up with a double twist. I think that was just trying to be as goofy as possible and making a reveal that is not really a reveal. And I mean, that's part of the story that I really love, that really nothing makes sense. The thing that happens is like complete nonsense. I'm gonna probably change it, but that in the middle now, when you get into the caves, it says, you came out of the caves and onto the surface, but you're clearly still in the mines there for the next couple levels. I'm probably gonna adapt that a little bit, but that's sort of what I like, that it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense that first it was Steve, then it was the teacher, then it was a little devil. How would he know, a little demon? How would he know about how this stuff? Does this all? It's all stories are equally sensible at once, and so nothing makes sense. And I enjoy that. Because I feel like it still says something that still is worth saying, even if it doesn't make sense, how it's told. And so I like that. And of course, then I wanted to kind of, not make like this is now a big statement on oppression or racism or whatever, but just a little, it's a very child-friendly game. So it's like a children's introduction to not being prejudiced. But yeah, so what I'm realizing in thinking about the racist roots of various fantasy tropes is, so Professor Squabblebeard kind of waves it away, that those weren't real, so it's fine. But, and especially following that speech about, just because someone's different than you doesn't mean they're bad or something, still, he's clearly designed a training course where you fight those evil creatures, and you basically get trained to, well, you know what I mean. There's something weird about the school.
But you know what? When I just realized something, like, I think especially like one of my ex-girlfriends always was angry with me when I attacked the wolves or like the rats in the game. But as soon as it's like dark elves and stuff, that's not that problematic anymore. She has more compassion for like the animals than like other humanoid races that are depicted in the world, and that's weird, right? Not sure what it says, but just noticed that.
Yeah, I also hear that a lot of people care about animals much more than, well, other people. So I guess they usually mean, well, not themselves, of course.
I guess it extends to like the fantasy races.
Yeah, and that's obviously a little bit problematic, that even that distinction that the regular elves, they're noble and cool and everything, and the dark elves, well, they're evil. So there's a... And
well, it depends on the story, of course.
Unless
the dark elves that we have there, they are based on the D&D trope, where they have a matriarchy, so they have like one queen, and they but they're pretty evil. Yeah, their god is like a giant spider. I forgot the name, but a female spider, of course. Yeah, it's interesting. The more you think about these, like how they are set up, especially like that they are ruled by women, but they are evil, makes it, yeah, it's kind of iffy, to say the least.
So yeah, so that's something that bothers me a little bit now. Not so much that I want to change the story, and obviously, that's the sprites we have, and we could just lean back and say, "Oh, come on, that's an old, established thing in fantasy. That's just how it is. We don't mean anything by it. We didn't even make the sprites. This is what we have." But
or we could like put it in context in the game that there are no dark elves. It's just like tropes they use at the academy.
Absolutely, that's sort of what I'm thinking. But the thing is, still, it means something. That's what the school designs as your training courses. It's weird creatures with different colored skin who are evil, and you must destroy them. That's basically what Kevin is taught. And so I was thinking, I would really love to have I mean, I don't know how a second campaign would look like, or maybe we make the Wizard 2 eventually. And to basically have that, I don't know what it would look like, but I would love if it was something that follows up on it, that Kevin takes the lesson that he's learned, and maybe he's friends with Tim now, and learns that actually there's a deep systemic problem within the school that, yes, his teacher told him all this stuff very, very
so it's a school for racist wizards.
Yeah, kind of, to examine the racist bias in the school, and to maybe also, because, and then I was thinking, but what would the gameplay look like for a story that is about, okay, there's something wrong here. And I thought if we can, recontextualize the whole wizard puzzle thing to, well, basically non-violent magic, but that you have different magic to solve different problems, that it's still something getting through, but that it's more about something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but that feels just so much less exciting to me. Like,
that's just fun.
Yeah, as if like violence is an important part of playing games, and like I would like deny that every time, but just in this part where I'm making the game, I can feel that there is something inside me that says like, no, you have got to fight. And I don't know, puzzles, but I'm not really a fan of puzzle games. I think that's but why? I mean, that's kind of a puzzle, right? And
I mean, it would have to still be a wizard game, so obviously in gameplay would have to be almost the same, just a little bit different in contextualization. And
so, I mean, we have at least two immediate points where you could continue with the story. First would be, like, of course, the roguelike mode, which I'm not sure how you could tell a story, given that the levels are random. But who knows? And the other one that I've been thinking about recently is I want to add a new game plus. So you would play the same levels again, but everything would be stronger. And then you could like put a spin on the story somehow. But I'm not sure how you would do that, but of course that's your job. So I haven't been thinking too hard about that. And the third thing that just came to my mind. So if you would have like a like a racist wizard academy that you're a part of, would like so that's like the KKK, right? So the top wizards would have white robes.
Oh,
so
wow! So like going all in on the
yeah, and then you could find your way through like the wizards, right? So every level has like different wizards who master different spells, and you would have to fight your way through that. And I'd still have my violence that apparently is very important to me. And we wouldn't fight like fantasy races, but racists, which, better at least.
I was just thinking now if maybe we can like basically abstract it in a way that you can still have fights and that it's based around the same core mechanics and the core principles, but that I don't know. So you wanna affect change in an institution, right? And so you have to go through channels and whatever. You have to basically fight your way to be heard by people who can do something about it. And there's a lot of stuff in the way, and that basically we recontextualize it as that you have to fight a certain type of ignorance or something, that's like ghosts or whatever, and and you have spells
dark elves of racism.
And something like that to make it. But I think that would have to be a wizard too. I don't see that how that fits in that game now. And then we have a franchise, and that's cool. But yeah, in some way I would like to address this very problem, which I think is, I don't think it's a problem with the game unless we like don't acknowledge it or something. I think as long as we're aware of it.
Maybe we're thinking too big here. Then could you just add like another page at the end where like the demon answers to Squelbard and tells him off, basically?
I think it needs to be big. I feel like that's too much for a throwaway line in the end.
I mean, given that the story is so random, I thought that maybe this would be enough, but
I feel like this is also something I'd be interested in examining in a more in more detail. Also because I just feel like this whole story is sort of Kevin not really getting a lot of stuff and then suddenly have that tacked on. I don't know. I feel like another campaign where he like slowly learns these things or like learns more and more about it or something. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I think I'm just hesitant because I'm just not really. I don't have the imagination right now. I don't see how this would be solved reasonably
Me neither
well.
yet, but we have some years' time.
Yeah. 7 years, you said?
Yes.
With hardest.
I mean, I always wanted to, like, that was the first thought I had for additional content, whether that's another campaign or roguelike mode, was the Invisible Tower. To have that as something of a strange, magical, unstable place, which I think is a cool contextualization for the roguelike mode. You go through that door and anything goes, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'll think about that for a bit and see if I can't figure out something. Because it would also be like, how would you start a story like that? Do I do like 10 pages of prologue to set up what's going on?
I know you want to, but
well, okay, which one of us is gonna talk? Wait, let me respond to your quip, because that'll be irrelevant in a second, I'm sure. After fixing the pages and it's still not being proper, I don't know what happened, why it's moved again, I don't know. But yes, I am very sick of how much writing those couple of pages are, so I will try to keep that short.
Yeah, not only writing, right? But like making sure it fits the page.
It's so annoying to do that, and yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I wonder what is the reason why the tower is invisible? Is it an accident or is it intentional? What do you think?
Well, I think my first thought was it's sort of a magical experiment gone wrong and just swallowed the tower half, and the dimensions are open now, and so anything goes in that tower. You go into that unstable that we also have in our company headquarters cellars. So,
well, that's a coincidence. Did we subconsciously base it on our cellar door?
Yes. So maybe that. We'll see, I guess. Something to think about as well.
So maybe we need to make like a part 2, but you're not the wizard anymore. You're like one of the phantom enemies in the world. The wizards train on. You have to create like a movement to fight the wizards who are like killing you, thinking you are not real.
And there you have your violence.
Yeah.
It's justified because you're getting attacked because they think you're evil, and all you want
Now,
is to be.
yeah, it's now it's a turn-based game where you control all the enemies in the level, and there's one wizard you have to get down.
But that would also be an interesting angle because obviously the idea of Kevin just learning more about it is also very, the white protagonist centric. While
That reminds me. I forgot to tell. Like, so in World of Warcraft, because the new campaign centered around the troll. I hope I'm right. I didn't misremember that. If you play any other race, they they send you as the other race. They send you in the troll land, and you have now there a diplomatic place, and you have to solve their problems.
Wait, what?
So if you are in World of Warcraft and you are not a troll, I mean like the race troll in the game.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like for example, you just play regular human to make it as crass as possible. Then you are made a diplomat and sent to the troll country. You get a place there. You build it up, and you help the trolls solve their problems. Of course, more or less as the main protagonist.
So you're a missionary?
Yes, you're a colonist.
The non-troll savior.
Video games. Yeah, it's weird how like they always say like media is just a reproduction of what the real world is, and I think it kind of is true. However, now we live in a world that is just dominated by media. So what we reproduce is media we already seen, and we come to a place where it's hard to see what the reality is and what's just a reproduction of a racist trope someone at some time did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we poor white dudes have to solve it all. So sorry.
Yeah. So that's just something to think about. But yes, certainly an interesting thought to do it the other way around. I mean, that could work somehow, but at the same time, I kind of feel like, but that's a less interesting game because Kevin is not the protagonist. And so it's like,
yeah, I wonder also like how you could like frame it without being really tasteless about like your losses, because you would have to use like your goblins and rats and whatever to fight and die, and to what cost? I mean, you would have to attack like the academy, fight your way in, dethrone the mages. Stuff
I
to
mean,
think about.
just in its basic concept, right? It could be sort of like Blade Runner. So one of the apparitions becomes self-aware of what's happening and is fighting. Then it's basically play the same thing, just now you're playing a dark elf or something, and you have the thing that your castle is being invaded by dopey wizard students, and I mean, I guess in that part, the violence also kind of has a kind of an excuse built in that they disappear when they die and are transported back to the castle to start over. So you're not actually killing, you're just fighting your way basically backwards through the levels, and then you get in the end to the castle and talk to the professor about it. Then he realizes, oh my god, I've been doing this all wrong.
Oh wow, that would like retroactively make the wizard worse, because now the creatures aren't just illusions. You have been killing innocents all the time.
Yeah, also at the very least participating in separating value, sort of. I mean, they can still be apparitions and still be treated respectfully, I guess. It's sort of the AI discussion, I guess. What's the morality of when you build an AI? Is just because it's code, should that have rights or not if it's advanced enough? If a computer program tells you, please don't shut me off, what's the ethics of not doing so and stuff?
This is such a weird problem, because honestly, we should concentrate on how we treat other humans first, because there's enough going wrong right there. And then we can think about AI. It's such a white guy problem, right? If I created AI, is it a human? Should I treat it right? But on the other hand, like, oh man.
Well, it sort of reveals a value judgment, I guess. Like in its essence, there's a thing of saying, this is worth less than me. And of course, when we talk about computer code, it's probably true. But maybe just not being... I mean, it feels sort of like maybe there's a... I mean, obviously, it's not as important, and, especially white tech people care way too much about AI and not enough about other people, so that's all. No? But I think the basic impulse of having a value hierarchy is the problem to begin with. And I guess you could sort of apply that to a story of... Because, I mean, we've been doing it in sci-fi, so why not do it in magical... I mean, it's a created creature, but what does that mean in magic terms? Does it mean it's not real? Is it a ghost? Does a ghost deserve to be killed just because it's a ghost? At any point, you're just saying, okay, this is an enemy, and it's okay because it has less value, and that thinking itself would be something we could discuss in a game.
It's different.
Yeah. It's different, so it's fine if we kill it. Something to think about.
Indeed.
So I guess that was the spoiler talk. You can turn it back on now.
Show the white paper again.
Waving the white flag.
Oh, it wasn't even the right side, I'm sorry. Here.
You can't see it anyway.
I know. It's a gesture that counts.
I see.
Right. So, okay, no more spoilers. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Vanessa.
Already taken care of.
The best mod we have.
Indeed.
So what are some other games that have good representation?
I don't know.
Have representation.
That I have any at all.
I've been scrolling through this, and I think games are still stuck on how about we have women in our games?
What?
Yeah. I mean, and then like the crazy stuff, like so should Shimi has like a picture of a of a goldfish with like bulky arms. I'm not sure what that's going to represent, but yeah. If we are talking like, I mean, what's representation anyway, right? Is it because, so on the one hand, if I have a game and I have like a set protagonist, I can accept it's a white dude. I think like most of them are. But then again, often I feel like if it's a woman, it's not really representing womanhood in games. It's more the, oh, let's have something different, and men like to look at women, so why not?
So the men with boobs problem?
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. And then on the other spectrum is the avatar creation, mostly for role-playing games. And then you can play as a woman, or you can play them as a man, and you can scroll your your skin color.
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases, that doesn't really make a difference, right? Your skin color, and then that's not representation, right? It's just like a different shade of white.
Yeah, I generally don't feel like that's a really good. Like, this is it doesn't matter, so it doesn't really tell a story that's relevant to.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not representative. It is just that it has the superficial look of being so, I guess. Or you can build your own headcanon where it is representative. But it's not really a game that represents much of anything.
Although it does even sound like, see, it's not a difference. What are you guys all so upset about? So it even feels like, for me, in a lot of cases, it feels like a step in the wrong direction.
I mean, I guess it is better than demanding, like dictating the one default and always the same one.
That's true. But
it feels like a non-committal, I'm not going to take a stance either which way kind of a thing. And that can be good, that can be kind of nothing. And I certainly don't feel like that's the answer. Let's make everything, let's put an editor in front of that so we don't have to deal with the problem, sort of thing.
But would you agree that, like, when we talk about representation game, we're not talking about like a skin color slider, but we are talking about representing different experiences, or different circumstances. I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but it's not enough that you play a woman, for example, or a man. It doesn't matter that if there's an avatar creation. It's not representative of anything if you can make your own character, but they all behave the same in the world. The world doesn't really react to how you look. It's not representation, right? But if you have like one set character, for example, that is of a minority, that you would consider representation or better representation.
Well, it really depends. Like you say, it's not so much about how it looks, but like what it's about, the story that it's telling with that. And I mean, that's the problem with the men with boobs trope. You know, it's just the exact same.
Can you explain it a little? Because I haven't heard that before, to be honest.
Okay. Well, that's basically when a game like puts in a female avatar, but otherwise it's the exact same action game as everything else. So it's literally just a male story, but with a female mesh put in. So it's not. It doesn't really speak to the experience of. So it doesn't represent womanhood. It doesn't represent like a non-masculine approach to problem solving or anything.
But if I can play devil's advocate, and sorry, I know I do that too often. But I haven't done that recently. So what if I can choose between male and female, and then I have like different romance options? Would that be representation?
That's well, I guess that depends.
Sorry to our viewers, it's again two white dudes talking about a representation.
Yes. Yeah, let's get that out of our system. Next week my wife is gonna be here, so we can probably do the white know-it-all anymore. We're at least gonna have some, different voice in here.
And we're not talking about like how it's supposed to be, where the problems are. We are only talking about our experience as white dudes who have become aware that there are in fact other people on the world that aren't us somehow and have different experiences.
Anita Sarkeesian made a video about the men with boobs trope, so I think that's a good thing to go more in depth. But yeah, the way strength is understood and how games work usually, they're very masculine in their understanding of problem solving. And so just throwing a woman and then doing nothing different and not having it color the experience at all. I mean, it's, I guess, sort of like just making a character black, but making the experience the exact same. Like there's nothing that speaks to the actual experience of being black and trying to navigate this world.
But you in your opinion, that's still better than not doing that.
It's better than nothing.
I have a feeling like that's even worse because it kind of negates the difference in the experiences.
I mean, it annoys me more if it is very, very bad at it. So like, hopefully not what we are doing, but maybe. That other attempts at trying to be...
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so yeah, I find it annoying if it's like very obviously straight white dudes making something very badly but thinking it's super woke because, oh my god, it's a black character and that's why you can't criticize it because then you're racist or something like that, you know. I'm more annoyed with the individual people than the attempt itself, because I do think it's a good idea. And it can be done well, obviously. I mean, we had this conversation recently with the Watchmen series, which is also written by a white dude, but he apparently did a fairly good job from what I hear around the...
Well, it was good enough for this white dude here.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of good stuff about it, like from the black people I follow on Twitter, and so it seems to have at first some... I mean, obviously they didn't speak for everyone, but there seems to be people are not unhappy about it, and so I think that's really, really good. But of course, that also like is very much about the black experience, right? It's not just it's a black character now in just the old Watchmen, but it's very much about black history and racism and all these things. When is this saying if you change the gender of the protagonist and change the romance options, what about LGBTQ plus? Well, that's a conversation that's always happening around the Dragon Age games, I think. There was a lot of complaints about romance options and how they handled it, at least in the second or third, I think.
I think that's what I was getting at before as well.
Yeah.
Like if you can play a woman and then now you can date the man, is this a representation? In Dragon Age they had like characters that were like bi, I think. So they could date like both, or was everyone could date both? So the world kind of changed around you.
I think in the first one, it's still they're straight, and depending on what you play, you have different options. Sort of like Mass Effect, where there's a bisexual character or two, but usually it's depending on the gender. You have different romance options. I think that changes a little bit throughout the games, but not that much. But in Dragon Age, I think in the second or third, they decided you can date any character, no matter who you play. And people were outraged, like, this is destroying my canon. Why is everyone bisexual? And the developers were saying they're not all bisexual. Just if you play this version of the game, then they're straight for you. And if you play the other one, then they're gay for you, I guess.
But do you like that? For me, that's kind of... I don't like it. I like my world to be consistent. That everyone like can talk about like the same world. I don't want the world.
But you're also not consistent.
For my experience. Well, that's okay, right? If you have like, if you are different in the world, or what do you mean? And the world like reacts differently because you are different. That's something I can.
If you have a character creator, then by default the games are always different. Like nobody has played my version of Mass Effect.
I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the game world, like the world you go into with your avatar.
Yeah, sure. I just mean like, what really is or is it such an important distinction whether the characters themselves change in the world, even though you can change in the world? Like, why is that one thing fine and the other, oh my god, that's an outrage, there should only be one way?
I wouldn't go that far. It's like a dramatic thing.
No, that was the outrage.
For me, it cheapens the world a little bit. But I think I wonder if like you have like, isn't it like this horror game that changes the experience depending on what checkboxes you made.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, I get it. So they are like crafting a world for me, but with like games, especially with games like Mass Effect, where I'm a fan of the world and I want to be in the world. I don't want the world to change like kind of fundamentally with like changing characters just because I picked another gender. Now they have to switch, like take a character.
Oh, you are stuck and gone again. Okay, while we do this, I'm just gonna quickly grab my phone because I have a food delivery on the way and I'm getting nervous why it isn't here yet. Just a second.
Sorry.
Silence.
I'm back.
Actually. Because I'm just gonna... is he back?
Wait, let me. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's very much a white guy rant. So I don't want the world.
You're back. That's nice. Hello, welcome back.
Hey! Nice to be part of the show. Not sure what Discord's doing here.
Well, as far as I heard you, I feel like that's really a kind of philosophical question, what you consider to be fixed and what you don't, and what is okay when it's fixed and what isn't. Because I mean, you could say that no matter how you play the game, it's always the same. Whether you play a man or a woman, you have the same romance options. The game is the same. But of course, you think of it like, oh no, this character was supposed to be straight. Why are they suddenly gay or bi or something? So yeah,
I guess I get like it's trying to fulfill a fantasy for you, and if your fantasy is like dating this person, and well, in the world they're canonically not cisgendered, then okay, let's change it. I guess it's really a nitpick that I would like to have. I'd like it better if I'd have like a consistent world with a diverse cast of characters that I don't have to exchange the love interest. But again, because for me that it feels more like a decision that was made to decrease the amount of work you have to do with like the dialogues and stuff, and not really a decision to make it. Okay, I guess it's a decision to make it better for people that are not me, and I'm complaining about it. Sorry.
I think it's both is kind of valid. I mean, it makes sense to tell if you want to tell a fixed story, like we're doing with the wizard. This is like not about any character going through this. This is specifically about this character going through it. And so you can make choices. You know, like in Mass Effect 3, you have some gay characters, and so depending, like for each gender, you have those. But of course, if you, if I'm playing Broshap and there's she was gay, right? Or was she bisexual? No, I think she was a gay character, a lesbian character. The Samantha Trainer. Food. Excuse me for a second.
Okay. So I'm gonna read Wendisil. I like it if there are some reactions to the character in games. Like if you play a race which is xenophobic. A race that is xenophobic, then others of your race react somewhat friendly, but if you are another race, you have to work to get their trust. Yeah, I like that as well. Although I think like in specific examples, we have the same problem we talked about earlier with the fantasy races. So that's a bit iffy, but I do like it. Okay, I'm gonna fill in Crabman if he decides to put on the headphones again. Okay. Yeah. So this is mostly like an RPG element, right? So if you have an RPG and you can play in different races, the world should react differently, right? Kind of waiting for Grabman to come back to finish this train of thought. I hope you can excuse this. Maybe let me preface that. Yeah, he told me about this topic for today, just like I think like 20 minutes, half an hour before we started, and I was looking for games with good representation, and it's tough. It's really tough to find good games. No, find games with good representation. And I think we're gonna try and find a couple of examples. Oh, it's loud. Next time, if you can mute the the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. So I just read like Wendesil's comment, and he also says it applies to normal worlds if we talk about communities. Yeah, so he likes it, and I agree. If you have like a fantasy world and you can play as different races, that the world also reacts differently to you. So if you have like a xenophobic race, or if you have a race that's xenophobic, for example, in Arcanum. In Arcanum, you can play as a troll or like a half ogre or half orc, half ogre, half orc. Then the humans and especially the elves will react very negatively to you, and you will have it harder to gain their trust. Or if you like a dwarf, and then the dwarf characters will immediately be friendly with you, and I quite like that as well. Of course, we have the fantasy races problem there. But when you told me think about games with good representation, my mind immediately went to all the role playing games, like like Arcanum, where you can play half ogre, for example, or Skyrim, like the Morrowind saga, Elder Scrolls saga. And the more I thought about it, I think the more disappointed I got that there isn't a better representation in these games, because these games are about like different experiences, but then you don't have black characters, gay characters. They aren't in these worlds. And I guess if you maybe this is like intentional, but I doubt it, that you concentrate like on the fantasy aspects and don't want to put in too much of the real world troubles. But then again, they mirror so much of the real world troubles with their fantasy racism. I think I'm more disappointed with like role playing games not having these options than like normal games that focus on male protagonists, for example.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, all part of the the lack of representation in development. Because I'm pretty sure that people with different experiences would also like to make games that portray different experiences, and
people who have like the main experience of being a white dude, they have trouble like just imagining like the kind of experience someone who isn't like cisgendered, for example, would have in a world, in a fantasy world, in a real world, whatever.
Yeah. So do we have any examples that we like where it's good?
Can I just I'm kind of happy. I'm always happy if we can just ignore the most recent news. But in this case, I have an interesting thing because it just fits so well into the topic. So this new game, was it Cyber Skunk? Cyber Rank? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like
that one.
That one, yeah. So it has like it had like a controversial controversy about trans representation, I think.
Yeah,
And
more than one,
yeah, more than one, right? But I think like the most substantial and interesting for me is is that you can have breasts and a penis, for example, but you can only select male or female voices that dictate your pronoun. So you either he or she, there's no they. And I get that this is a lot of work to have like all the audio stuff for they as well. But then again, this is like the biggest game we have right now. This can't be such a big problem that they couldn't, and that had to be on their mind, right? This can't be like, oh, we forgot, we didn't think of it. What do you make of that? I mean, it feels intentionally, or did they really have to cut corners at on this? Like, let's render penises and breasts, but dialogues with they, that's too much work.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem like the biggest thing to do. You know, if you're doing 2 versions already, why not? What's the harm in the third? How is that suddenly too much? And I think the problem was also, if I remember correctly, that you can choose which, right? You can choose which voice you get. Basically,
You can or can't?
I thought there was something where you were forced into a certain, that you can't choose the voice, that it dictates the gender, like you said, something like that. So basically, you can't play a female character with a deep voice.
I think like at the beginning you have to choose like male or female, and then you could make your character.
Then you just get a voice assigned, and you can't actually choose that. And I think that was a thing also with trans representation, that maybe someone wants to play a female character with a deep voice. Why not? You know?
I think you can probably like. I'm not sure. I watched Red King play the game, but I don't remember anymore if they had like different voice options, because in role-playing games that's often the case, that you have like different voices, that you have like 5 different male, 5 different female voices, and then like thinking about that, I mean that's so much work with all the dialogues. I'm not sure if they did that at all, if you just have like one male or one female voice. And
I think it's like that. And yeah, I read that that's because I think that would just be like a minor switch to say like a female character is allowed to have a deep voice, or a male character to have a high voice and stuff. But it's tied to your gender, so that means male deep, female high. And just one of the many, many, many problems CD Projekt Red has, because they have kind of a bad track record with transphobia.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I can't find it as fast as I was hoping for. Yeah, but what I'm reading here is like people who wrote that Bella Blondor thinks gender options are probably all in bad faith. Because the game having pronoun options is a smokescreen for one single. No. Nice vocal. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but I think it's pretty obvious that there's a huge problem. I mean, there isn't really an excuse if you make a game of this size to make such an obvious oversight. I mean, at some point someone must have pointed that out, and then someone must have intentionally said no, too much work, or I don't know, let's stoke some controversy and just leave it out. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll patch it retroactively. I don't know.
Guess we'll see.
It's great. It's crazy, and I mean it's silly that CD Projekt Red has been like the big gamer, like the company, like the new company that all real gamers like are so excited about with The Witcher. And The Witcher also has this really weird racial thing with the fantasy races, and it's in the books, so I guess they are faithful with their problematic stuff. And then, like, if you don't really think about stuff like that, it's not weird. But as soon as you realize the problems that are present in The Witcher and now in Cyberpunk, it's not surprising that the big gamers are behind games like that, right? Because they don't challenge them at all. The opposite is the case. They kind of reinforce their bigoted thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good examples. Let's
Good
go.
examples. Do you have one?
Well, I think so. I can only think of a couple that I would really consider good, and that would be Dropsy. I guess you play an alien, but that felt very inclusive.
What? You
Are
play
you
an
an
alien?
alien in Dropsy?
I thought you were just a weird clown.
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I haven't played the game, so I just assumed because it showed. Yeah, look at me, like how there are my prejudices. Yeah, that felt pretty inclusive. Oh man, other than that, I think I had another one, but mostly it feels like the kind of game that's inclusive isn't the kind of game I'm playing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead is very good at it, I think. Very.
So there are multiple more Walking Dead games, so I think you gotta be a little bit more specific.
Well, the Telltale ones, not the weird other shooters that came out. I guess the Telltale Walking Dead series is it's always a very diverse cast of characters that all feel very three-dimensional. And yeah, things, even if they're not like the main topic, because, well, I guess characters have more to worry about, it's still not ignored that there's racial tensions and stuff, like when with God's help.
Yeah. The best opener I have.
Flashbacks. So yeah, like there are moments of like racial tensions. You know, there's a scene where you have, because you're obviously, I guess for people who don't know it, you play a black man who meets a little Latin, I think, girl, and you, or like, I'm actually not sure. Maybe she's mixed race.
Brown girl.
Yeah. Yes, and so obviously playing a black character is still among mostly.
Can I interject? Sorry, because that was just like a point. I always feel weird if we go too much into what race is this person, and but I'm not sure if this is for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
Am I like negating or like preventing from their ethnic cultural background really playing a role, or am I am I like protecting myself from all the implications and stuff, and saying, she's just, we all the same, so let's not talk about that. Or because it does feel like this weird like human race thingy if we go into like, well, what are you? I mean, to make it extreme. Any thoughts on that? Because I always feel very weird about it. I'm not sure. So I'm just like silent most of the time. It comes to that.
I also feel awkward about it. Like right now, that was something where I always think about, is that like a weird thing to say, talking about a black character, talking about maybe a Latin or mixed race or something, is it feels like this sort of categorizing feels wrong. But of course, there's nothing inherently racist about acknowledging someone's different experience, and these are the labels we have. We use the labels that the groups themselves prefer to be called with. And I guess there's a good and a bad way to talk about race. And obviously, if you're like, do you have a drop of black blood in yourself, then you're worth less. That's obviously a bad way, but just to acknowledge, okay, this is a character with this experience and that background, and that's, I guess that's just how you talk about things. I think you're allowed to say black, yes.
Yeah, I know. It's just like we go into detail that much, like, yeah.
I mean, right now it is the point. It is talk about the representation, and these are two, I guess two different experiences that are at the lead of that series.
So we can't just say white and non-white.
I think we can name it. It's always the intention behind it. If you're
I feel like if we did that was really white centric again.
Yeah, exactly. That would be very. Every person that isn't white is different, but all in the same way, and that's obviously problematic for many reasons. And I guess you could even divide it further to be like, okay, that's African American or something, because I guess I'm pretty sure my wife's experience is different to that of a Black American. So, but I guess just for this conversation, I guess we can say that's a black lead character and a mixed race lead character in the subsequent seasons, and it is not ignored. It's not at the forefront. It's not about like, oh, look how terrible the world is and now everybody's racist. Now you have to like, it's not racial horror, basically. But it is also not ignored, even if it just comes up in like small jabs, because like one of your buddies there is a Floridian man, and he's like, "Can't you open this door?" And you're like, you play a teacher, right? So you're like, why would I know how to do this? Well, because you're urban. And then it's like, really? Like, shit, I don't know, I'm from Florida. So it's like a sort of humorous acknowledgement of
naivety. Yeah,
there's a couple like of these small things where you just notice that, and like even you feel it sometimes. I feel where when a character acts kind of aggressive towards you, it's not explicitly stated it's because you're black, but also it is. So, it seems like a subtle.
It could be. I think that's enough, like to get the experience, right? You're not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I would not be surprised if like a black person or a person of color in general would play that and be like, "Yep, I know what you are saying." Where to me it's like, "What? I thought they were just not so nice."
Yeah.
But that's so I couldn't.
Okay, I get it. I thought like I imagined that just like not being able to be sure ever, like if it's racial or not, would be like an additional problem.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly the thing where I think we can separate what is it representation or is it just looking like it. Is I think that exact experience of hearing things, but what they mean. While when we were I mean, I'm sure that's also happened, that we look at a problem, we're like, is this really a problem? But to the person whose whole life experiences is, of course, they know what this is.
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
to us, it's
right,
maybe like,
yeah.
oh. And those small differences, that's only something that a person can tell you that has experienced it. And so that's something that we would obviously be missing unless someone tells us that. And so, and yeah, I think these things matter. Like if we had a game that would completely not have that, it would not be representation, because this is the reality for this type of person, and this white utopia that exists where we're all equal and everybody has the same experience just as us. Like that's just not real.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's these subtle differences, I think, that like actually tell you about an experience rather than just giving you the same experience with a different paint job on it. But yeah, so that's Walking Dead. I'm not sure, can I think of anything else where I was like, wow, that's nice? Oh.
Can think of opposites, or like close but no cigar, like Mirror's Edge, for example, where you have an Asian woman, but I'm not sure if this is like acknowledged at any point.
I think not really. Yeah, we just had some frame drops just now. Oh well. It seems to have recovered.
Yeah. I think we're nearing to the end anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that
I think
kind
it's interesting that I think that there's like an elegant way for stuff like Among Us, for example, where everyone is in spacesuits that are identical and just have different colors. I'm not sure it doesn't really further anything. Like it's not good, but you're not excluding anyone. I think I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, with those things, I also feel like the same way that they're only sidestepping the thing, and it's kind of through the way the culture is, it's just assumed that they're all white men. So it's like, I think you need to be really explicit to like make a different, or like
they're not challenging anything, but at least they're not like they're not like adding on with just making everyone a male.
Yeah. I mean, I know there was a game with a black lead where everyone lost their mind, even though it was just some walking simulator. I think it was called Virginia. It was sort of a Twin Peaksy type thing, and the lead investigator was a black woman. I haven't played it all the way through, so I don't know if it's actually, but I think it was just a straightforward story that happened to feature
Well, I don't know about Hellblade, but I could imagine that they are at least commenting on her being female, but I don't know. Dear, haven't played it yet.
I think that one is interesting in terms of mental health representation. So
yeah, I just think like maybe that this place like Last of Us. I think Last of Us does a job of representation. Not sure how good because I haven't played it, but a lot of people got upset about it.
It's usually a good sign.
I think that's what's good. I think like Life is Strange probably.
Oh
as
yes,
well.
that was really cute. I haven't played the subsequent games, but it was nice because it's a little bit of, well, two things. It can have, if you choose that path, you can have a little bit of a queer romance, but otherwise it's just also nice to just have a really nice female friendship that is really not at all about men. I mean, obviously that problems feature men, but
yeah.
But basically,
isn't that what
the Bechdel test
and entertainment or like games promise? Like having different experiences, but just reproducing.
Then we only had the one over and over.
The same male power fantasy, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Then, well, Mass Effect, I guess, it doesn't really count, right?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of in that realm. I mean, yeah, they certainly sidestep it a bit with the character creator, but at least that's there. And I guess it has a diverse cast of characters in it.
So better than bad.
Better than that. And I mean, space racism is sort of addressed in the game, because like your companion there, Ashley, whatever her name was, she's a huge racist, so that's part of the story.
And the romance option.
Yes, so you can romance the racist. I'm actually not sure if that gets like really addressed at some point, or you can at least ignore it. I think you can like romance her and just be happy forever without ever talking about it much.
I guess you can roleplay as a space racist and have your space racist girlfriend.
Yeah.
Gotta catch that audience of racist fantasy fans, sci-fi fans. Yeah.
What else is there?
I can see One Night Stand, which is One Night Stand is well, how would you call that? Is this like the games that you like to play, where you have like dialogue and stuff, and you don't shoot anyone?
You mean like visual?
Not even get to stab anyone. Visual novel, right? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a visual novel about waking up beside a dude as a girl, having had a one-night stand and not remembering a lot. Then you can like try to get out of your situation, and you have like different endings depending on what you do. It was pretty nice, and I think she was on, like, the creator was on Amaze as well. Talked about how she created that, and the style is really nice. Kind of, what's it called, like photographed and then drawn over and animated really really nicely. So One Night Stand is I liked it a lot, yeah. And I don't play games like that at all, so I don't know what that means, but yeah. I think I had a couple of other slightly better examples. Well, Oxenfree, I guess maybe you play as a female character and you are acknowledged to be female. It's sad that this should count for representation, but it kind of does, right? I think they're all white too, but yeah.
I guess the Pepper Prince is pretty queer.
By the way, first game I had the option between more than male or female. So
yeah,
that counts.
I guess. I don't know how much it is a really queer story yet, but maybe that'll come still. I mean, I guess it kind of is. Just a queer story in a world where that's not really a problem.
It's a queer world, right?
No.
It's a story in a queer world.
Well, that's actually gonna get a little bit complicated in the next one, which is why that's taking me forever to figure out, because that's kind of a difficult thing that I set myself up for there. I'll see how that goes. It's slim pickings.
Yeah. Starcrossed I haven't played, but looking at the picture, I see a lot of girls, and different skin colors.
did Watch Dogs?
It's really mostly the indie games, right? Well, I think Watchdog, if you're talking about the new Watchdog, where you have like, you can play like a granny and stuff.
I haven't played none of the games, but wasn't it a black lead in Watch Dogs? Or at least the first one?
I don't know. I'm not sure if this played a role. I kind of doubt it. In the newest one, for example, you can play all kinds of people, so you have good representation in the world, but I don't think who you are playing as, and you can recruit like different characters and play with them. I think that doesn't really play a role. It's just their abilities and their equipment that has an influence. As far as I know, I haven't played it. I only heard of it, but I haven't heard anyone mention anything about that. And I think I would have heard that. Yeah.
No, he does not look like a black character. Maybe I was thinking of Mafia 3.
Ooh. Okay, are you allowed to say that?
Well, it's very hard to see because he has a iconic base cap and his mouth covered a lot of the time. It's hard to tell. And no, he looks like a white dude, so I'm not. Yeah, maybe I was thinking of Mafia 3. That has a black lead, right? But I haven't played it yet, so I'm not sure if the game is any. I hear it's not that good, but I'm not sure.
Well, is it? I think I'm through all of the games. I'm sure I missed one or two, but hey, do I have Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2? Interesting. Oh yeah, I have them on Epic, apparently, so they had to be free. By the way, today on Epic Store, 2 interesting games. Pillars of Eternity, sequel, prequel, I don't know. So isometric, turn-based, or at least partly turn-based role-playing game that I think was praised a lot in the vein of Baldur's Gate 2, but prettier. I think it lost out to Divine Divinity. That's why we haven't heard more of it, because they were kind of similar at a similar time. And then there is something else I forgot, but that looked kind of like the same game. So I think another turn-based role-playing game, or not necessarily turn-based, maybe real-time, but role-playing game nonetheless, if I remember correctly. I guess, yeah, Arcanum doesn't really count as representation because there are only fantasy races. But at least the world reacts differently, and you can play, for example, a character that has such a low intellect that he can't really talk, and only like in
Grunt.
Yeah, grunt, like really simple languages, and every character reacts to that. So I guess that's kind of a representation, not really racial, but yeah, at least different kind of characters you can play, and the world really reacts to you and gives you problems if you, for example, are a half ogre that's really stupid, which I did one. You're really strong, but like everyone disrespects you. They all talk down to you. It's an interesting experience they made there for sure. Even you're at the beginning of the game, you meet a guy who is convinced that you are like the chosen one. Even he's really, but he's a little bit of a racist as well. He's a white dude, and he's surprised if you are not a white dude as well. Then he's like, "Oh, I didn't think. Well, apparently you're the chosen one. I thought you looked different." Which kind of is interesting, right? It's a nice nod, at least.
Oh, well. That's it.
I'd like to go through all the games and just count how many times you play as a male, a female, of anyone non-white and then as animals. And I'm pretty sure you can play as an animal more times than anyone. Yeah.
I mean, I can for sure think of more games where you play an animal than where you get any kind of...
Mutant Year Zero, for example, I guess you have representation. You can, you have a woman, a duck, and a pig to play. At least there's not a white dude. And it's a cool game. Turn-based role. It's not really a role-playing game, but it's a turn-based tactical game. And I liked it quite a bit. I haven't played it through, and I've lost my saves probably, so we'll see. And I can see here Mutazione. I forgot what kind of game. I think it's adventure, and looks like you're playing a girl of color, and there are some fantasy elements. It's a point-and-click science fiction drama from Die Gute Fabrik. Was on Epic for free at some point, and maybe even in the bundle for racial equality. I think like if we went through the bundle of racial equality, we would find a lot of games with better representation as the mainstream stuff we just looked at. Just I just went through the Steam, Epic, and Good Old Games library I have, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. It is probably mostly in indie spaces that you find better. I mean, what was that game that you played? It had a weird name.
Yes, the card game, right?
Yeah, something with an S. Sojourner?
Sojourner, yes. Signs of Sojourner.
That looked pretty...
That had good representation, that's true. That had really, honestly, good. But also passively more so than anything else. Nobody really acknowledging or having like all are equal, but at least you have a world with all different kinds of people instead of just white guys and fantasy races.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that so much either. Like, I mean, that's sort of what I try to at least start out with the Pepper Prince, to just make a world where this is already okay, because I don't want to just think about how horrible everything is and like it has to be this way, but to also imagine a world where things are better. That's also fine. I think it's just weird if we use the exact same world that we have now, but pretend these problems don't exist. Then it becomes kind of
I mean, I think you can do it too, if you really try to show that it doesn't have to be that bad.
Yeah.
But certainly you have to be conscious of that. That you're not like reproducing the all is fine. What are you people so upset about?
Yes, exactly.
Right here. I was a bit wrong about the free game on Epic. When it says Pillars of Eternity is a nice game. I played it a while back as it was released, and yeah, it's in fact Pillars of Eternity, the definitive edition. So it's not a prequel or sequel. It's the game in its most definitive state. And the other game is Tyranny, the gold edition. And I don't know, I haven't heard of this game before, but it looks very samey.
I see.
I know it doesn't sound good, but that's my honest reaction. I'm sorry.
I see. Okay. So
looks very nice, though. Very nice, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's about what we have then.
I'd say so.
We are, of course, over time already. Wait, actually, do you want to see what I'm fiddling on for fun? Fiddling with.
Sure.
Because I think I mentioned that like half a year ago, which I can say now because we have been doing the Hootout for over half a year. That's
wow.
Probably the longest running thing that we've done in terms of
well,
this.
except Hypnotic all.
Well, we technically haven't put out that much. We've existed, I guess. And now we have 32. This is our 32nd episode. So that's...
Oh.
I think that's double what we managed to do before. I think we made it up to 16 before we quit.
Yeah. Well, we ended.
Yes. But yes, so when I started programming, I started with, or like programming games, I started with XNA, which was discontinued in 2013, but continued as a mono game, which is fun to look up because that's the word for monogamous in German. So anytime I type in monogame, I get monogame Beziehung. But yeah, so it's basically the same thing. So all you have to do is to install that, and you can basically use your old code. So I could use some old libraries that I did in 2010 in XNA with just minimal porting, and so I've made. I'm just playing around with that. And let me do the switcheroo here. Browser. Oh, that's different. Guess we had our topic today, but not that. Okay, so that's kind of capturing.
Yeah, by the way, Windows says the tyranny has an interesting concept behind it, but is sadly not executed well to the end. Good to know.
For some reason, I'm having trouble capturing. Can you see anything?
Nope.
Well, that's very strange. Why is it doing that?
Maybe it wants to be shown next time.
Maybe, but next time it might look all different.
Well, it would be, right now, that would be an improvement.
Yes. Wait, let me see if I do this as a release build, maybe that's different. I don't know. So if I fire this up, can this now... Ooh! Do you see this?
That I can see, yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay, so does it move?
No.
What? Why do you hate me? Okay. Why doesn't it move? So rude. But, okay, I'm gonna start this again and maybe it's working. No, it just doesn't want to capture this for some reason. Well, there is a city, and I can actually fly through it. I'm doing it right now, you just can't see it. And yeah, it's kind of fun to... So the city is generated, so it was fun to figure out how to generate geometry. And well, right now it's very basic, like everything's a block. Still wanna look into, but yeah, it's in terms of just figuring out how to do various like optimization techniques, to instance the meshes that I'm generating. To even like generating, I find super interesting because I never do it by hand, and to figure out how to vertices need to be added so it is in the right, that the normal goes in the right direction, and to apply textures to it, and
all right.
And then to render this at a certain that it runs properly. So that's instanced. I have a quad tree that I always wanted to figure out how to do. Now I've actually managed it. So that it renders only the parts it sees, and in an optimized way and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing now. Collision is already working. I wish I could show you because it's kind of funny. If I fly against one of those things, I just bounce back a little bit.
Nice.
But what I'm having trouble to figure out is how to, like, if I fly straight against one of these, Or like add a... Wait, no, you're gonna gun. What the heck?
I'm back again.
Yay!
At least my voice is...
What? I see something. I see something. There you are.
Here I am. Here I am.
That's basically what I want if you don't fly... Like if you do the sideways, the strafe, or you set down, then I find it's okay that it jumps back in the exact same position. But right now it basically does... Wait, where's my hand? There. If you fly against it like this, you just jump back like this. And what I want is to have that reflected off, basically. And I have such trouble to figure out how to calculate the reflection of the angle. Because the way I do it is like with forward forces. So the forward force comes at it at a certain angle. And then I need to calculate the sideways force and the new forwards force to like have you float in that direction. And... Well, I will figure it out today, probably, but that was... For now, it looks pretty funny that you just kind of bounce off a bit like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that.
Our computer visualistic professors would be proud.
I hope so. So that's just a little bit of fun to play around with, figure out rendering techniques and stuff like that. And apparently it's platform independent now. Used to be only Windows and Xbox. Now you can do that for anything. So that's also pretty cool. Yeah, just that you have to write your own engine. It's just a framework. But yeah, pretty fun.
Nice.
So that's what I do while I watch Murder, She Wrote. That's it. So maybe next time I'll figure out how to actually capture this, and then
would be nice. Have to capture a video and then show it off like that.
It's weird. Why would it not do that? I mean, it's just a game, isn't it?
Wait, why did you send me a Dropbox link?
Yeah, that's your photos.
Nice. Thanks. Great.
All right.
It's just the photos of your wedding and not the rest of it. Oh, there's also Michael lying in bed for some reason. just your wedding and 3 pictures of Michael lying in bed.
So that's just the pictures that I pulled. Oh, there's one of me with my cow head that somehow got lost rudely. I actually wanted to keep the skull.
Yeah.
But it's gone. Gonna have to slaughter another cow then.
Yeah, probably. I mean, what you gotta do? So you're planning another wedding? Is that it?
Well, maybe one day. Who knows?
Well,
just gotta figure out how to, because I'm technically not allowed as a foreigner.
Yeah, I mean that's also like financially taxing, right?
I guess it is. Yeah, would be nice if we eventually made some money, at least to get our loans back.
Yeah, I'm certain at some point it will happen.
Maybe in a year.
Maybe 2.
I mean, right now, how long has it been out? 2 weeks? 2 exactly, yeah. And we made about 1 mini job salary. So
nice.
If we keep doing this every month, then we could pay me enough that I can get welfare.
Yeah.
Well, I can get welfare anyway, but you know what I mean.
But you would have to work on the story nonstop until it fits. Every page has to fit. Otherwise, I can't pay you. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna look into that after Christmas.
All right.
Yes, I need to tend to my fur. That's what I've opted for in terms of soothing comfort foods.
Good choice.
And yeah, I guess
I go down and see what my mom has made.
Yes. Nice. And I guess next time we may already have, if everything goes well, Or rather, if nothing goes wrong, then we will maybe have another addition to this. I don't know how that's going to work, but...
Yeah, we're going to integrate that technically.
Yeah, I guess we got to huddle up on the couch and then just try to maybe make you a little bit smaller then. We'll see.
We'll see indeed.
Should be fun.
Thanks for watching.
Yes.
It was a blast again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us as always, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes.
And then I will finally prove that my girlfriend from another country that you can't meet right now is actually real. Well, on that note, have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.